Imagine getting Isekai to another world and being overpowered from the very get-go of episode 1, equipped with all that you need to get started in the new world, and nothing can even stop you. These following anime aren't too popular by any means, and have awesome main protagonists that you will definitely enjoy tagging along with on their adventure.
様々な策を我々に示される。
強力な国家にしていきましょう。
本当にすごい。
Now, what if instead of becoming the hero, you do reincarnate as the final boss and start rebuilding the ultimate evil empire? The main character reincarnates as the evil god of a strategy game and begins rebuilding his destroyed evil civilization. Now, what makes it so addictive is the kingdom building and strategy element of the show. The protagonist doesn't just fight enemies in this, he manages resources, commands powerful subordinates, and slowly expands his dark empire. The tension comes from watching an evil allied faction try to survive in a hostile fantasy world. This makes it perfect for you viewers because it offers something different from typical overpowered main character stories. It's more tactical, more calculated, and more focused on long-term domination rather than flashy battles. You don't need to be overpowered as the final boss. You just have the underlings do all the dirty work for you. Now, this anime adds a refreshing change of pace to this lineup because it blends adventure and world exploration and calm world building instead of focusing solely on a battle or even power struggles.
やった、ようやく見つけた。スキャン。rank SS?
Now, rather than relying on big fights or even overpowered transformations, the core enjoyment from this anime comes from discovering new places and even understanding the world's magic and ecosystems, and seeing the protagonist grow through adventure and curiosity. Now, this combination of world exploration and personal progression makes it so addictive in a quiet and satisfying way, perfect for people who love a slower fantasy experience rather than something quick, because this really truly just keeps you engaged. The story follows a character who travels across a fantasy world collecting and refining materials, which gives it a unique craft and journey feel that most fantasy anime don't go and explore about. Now, great for viewers who want just, adventure and world building in a fantasy setting, like, let's say, in the land of Leedale and By the Grace of Gods. You just got reincarnated to a fantasy world, but you realize you're the most useless son in the family. Oh boy. But this is an isekai fantasy anime that aired back in 2020, and despite having terrible looking CGI and quality, it actually still has a place for people's enjoyment. But this show combines one of the most popular fantasy setups, reincarnation into nobility, with a relatable, struggle of starting from the very bottom. But instead of being born into power, the main character reincarnates as the 8th son of a poor noble family, meaning he has almost no future, no status, or no inheritance. But what makes it engaging is watching him use intelligence and rare magic that he found in a book to slowly build his influence, allies, and position in a world controlled by politics and hierarchy. The mix of magic and strategy keeps the viewers invested because they want to see how far this son can rise to fame and glory. This show here taps directly into one of the most addictive fantasy trends in the industry right now, and that is being the underestimated class that becomes the most broken in the world, or yeah, you guys know how it is. Underestimated class turns out to be overpowered. Yep, that's the one. Instead of being summoned as a hero, the main character starts as a weak monster tamer, which makes his rise feel satisfying and so rewarding. My isekai life still appeals to mainstream isekai fans while still feeling a little overlooked compared to bigger titles, but the story becomes engaging when he gains a second class and unlocks powerful abilities, showing how strategy and adaptability can turn a low-tier role like the monster tamer into something unstoppable. But watching him grow stronger while solving world-level threats creates a binge-worthy power fantasy that many of you will truly love. But this is mainly for viewers who love the usual weak-looking but overpowered formula when it comes to isekai, then give this one a watch.
一つ忘れてるぞ、朝日。約束通り。
Do you guys like overpowered little clingy sisters in another world who keep stealing the spotlight by just one-shotting everything? Yeah, I figured you guys would, because this show is a fun and refreshing take on an isekai where the sister ends up becoming the true main protagonist by getting ridiculously strong while her brother suffers being the weakest. But this creates a unique mix of comedy and parody and super chaotic action that keeps the viewers entertained. But the story focuses more on character dynamics and humor rather than serious power progression, which makes it stand out from, the darker and more generic isekai. But this is great for people who want a less serious anime and more on the laughs while still being entertained in every way possible. But just be warned, the sister is extremely clingy, the brother and sister complex, which is annoying, but it's all part of the show after all. This is a recent isekai anime where the main character doesn't become overpowered overnight. He actually earns every bit of his strength slowly by uncovering more of what this world has to offer to him. This anime focuses on survival, growth, and mastery over time, instead of rushing straight into power. But the main character is reincarnated into a very dangerous world and spends years alone in the wilderness. He's just put in the wilderness with a cabin, he's given water magic, and slowly becoming powerful through experience and intelligence rather than just pure luck. This makes it so refreshing compared to the isekai that you guys watch, where the MC becomes broken immediately. But really, watching his journey from isolation to becoming one of the strongest magicians in this world creates such a satisfying progression that keeps us viewers invested. It also appeals to fans who enjoy calm pacing with meaningful character growth. For people who like, let's say, slow-living isekai adventures and slow progression, I know you guys do like that, to becoming a more powerful water magician, then give this one a watch. Here's an isekai with a fresh twist on the isekai formula. A hero who already saved the world once and now gets summoned again to the same world to save it once again, yeah. Man, what am I doing here? But instead of starting weak, the main character already has experience, knowledge, and power, which makes the story feel different and more strategic from the beginning. Now, the appeal comes from watching him navigate a world that he already knows about, reconnect with old allies, and deal with new conflicts that have evolved since his first journey. But this creates strong nostalgia, mystery, and hype, especially when viewers realize he's hiding just how powerful he truly is from the rest of his classmates that also got summoned to another world with him. It blends classic fantasy, romance, and action with a unique returner concept that keeps us curious for more. If you're a fan of power fantasy anime with a super strong main character from the very get-go, then check out Summoned to Another World for the second time. Now, this is probably by far one of the most unique isekai on this list, because instead of following the summoned hero, the story focuses on people who hunt and kill them. This alone makes it so fresh and even unpredictable.
いいあかり、異世界人を元の世界に返せる儀式場があるのよ。今から旅に出る感じ。ワクワクするね、レノちゃん。
But the world sees isekai characters in this show as dangerous disasters, not saviors, which creates a darker and more mature tone. The main character, Minnow, is an executioner who eliminates otherworlders before, their power destroy the world, or those who have insane power. They're a threat to this new world, so they need to be eliminated. But when she meets Akari, another girl who can manipulate time and avoid death, revert her time, basically, let's say like ReZero, the protagonist Subaru, the story becomes a psychological and emotional battle. But the twist on isekai and summoning makes it stand out and keeps the viewer curious because you never know who will survive or what dark secrets will even be revealed. So, fans of darker and more serious fantasy anime will certainly find this anime super enjoyable to watch.
うるせえな、頭に響くだろ。っていうか、ここどこだ、チングジ。
誰だ貴様
Now, this is one of the funniest anime. It's quite unique. And it's actually a gender bender situation. but this anime is the one you should definitely watch, honestly. This stands out from typical isekai by focusing on comedy, identity, and friendship rather than just power and fights. The story follows two adult best friends who get transported to another world, but one of them is turned into an irresistibly beautiful girl, creating a chaotic and hilarious dynamic that constantly challenges their relationship. They're both guys, but they just can't seem to, stop getting clingy with each other. It mixes romance and tension and such funny comedy and adventure to keep the viewers engaged and curious about what will happen next with those two. But instead of following the usual overpowered protagonist formula, but to be honest, they are overpowered anyways, it creates an emotional comedic stake that just makes it memorable and highly entertaining for us. Trust me, don't skip this one and give it a go. What if you were reincarnated into the world, but your biggest problem was trying not to be overpowered? Instead of wanting power, the main character in the show actually wants to live a normal, peaceful, average life after being a genius in her past world.
私能力は平均値でって言ったよね
Her wish goes wrong, and she ends up being far stronger than anybody else, forcing her to constantly hide her true abilities even after joining her hunter school. This creates a fun and relatable tension that makes the story entertaining and so easy to binge watch even. The focus on friendship and the adventure and the character interactions for this anime make it, it feels lighter and more comforting compared to darker isekai. Protagonists struggle to stay normal despite being overpowered, keeps us engaged for wanting more to see how she will adapt in this world. So yeah, give this one a watch. If this video did indeed help that empty space of yours by giving you all more isekai anime to watch, which I hope it did, then do give this video a thumbs up, and let me know in the comments down below which anime you are gonna be watching from this list. And until next time, I will see you.